right, so we do want to welcome everybody from all the different agencies. We have folks from EEOC, HUD, EPA, VA, FDA, all the ones you see here. I remember seeing somebody from BOP. That's awesome. And from HHS, TSA, love that. There's a lot of things that we're going to be talking about today that are absolutely applicable to you. I'm going to welcome here George Madosky Jr. He's the founder and CEO of Madhouse. Say hey, George.
Hey.
I love George's background. George's got the best background out there. Fantastic flag thing, but the whole thing. I said it the other day when we were prepping for this. I was like, George has got it all figured out. Not that yours is bad, Corey. Just saying. But I also want to welcome Corey. Corey, how do you say your last name?
Nick Oluk. So
Nick
really,
Oluk.
Yes, it's Ukrainian.
That's awesome. And so you're with First Tactical. You're the VP of Design. I love the fact that we get to be able to talk to a designer because we're going to be talking about things that deal with a lot about with women's clothing, right, Corey?
Absolutely. I was employee number one, so I came over, helped kind of formulate the whole DNA of the brand, making sure that it was right, especially not just for the we started it 10 years ago, but really driving what the future needs were of public safety.
I love it. And I'm Dave Lowe. I'm just playing the host today. Welcome, you guys. And just so everybody knows, this is from GSA, by the way. This is so you can keep your GSA, George. This event's not affiliated or endorsed by any agency. It's provided to you for informational purposes only, and you can participate because you're not going to endorse or commit to purchase from any vendor. If you don't want to, that's the way it works. If you like to participate, that's what we love. In the chat, you will find things like the session docs going in the chat. You can raise your hand. You can pop it in the Q&A. And if you have something you don't want everybody else to see, send it to info@madhouse. That's at the bottom at that email. In that handout, you'll get a copy of the presentation as well as presidential memoranda regarding DEIA. Some of the other pieces that we've learned as we started to put this together and talk to different agency folks for worker organizing and empowerment, the strategic plan and guidance from OPM. We also have some clothing guidance, since we'll be talking a little bit about that, and some case studies from these guys of how they've helped to support different areas of the federal government. So we will get to that in just 1 minute. So I'm going to open this poll for everybody. And the first poll is, why in the world did you decide to come here today? Are you interested in learning about DEIA? You can pick as many as you want, by the way. Maybe you're a woman who works in EMS or uses tactical gear or responsible for outfitting staff. Pretty important thing. Or your boss made you come. And there's going to be some Weisenheimers, I'm sure, Corey and George, for that. See, I told you somebody was going to make it, and somebody's been here before. All right, so today, while you're filling that out, I'm just going to review real quick. We'll do some introductions. We have some federal initiatives, understanding what the gap is. There is a gap in women's apparel, and we're going to talk about how you can solve some of that and some inclusion of women in the diverse workforce, and that includes your agency. And remember, your agency logo on uniforms is a statement about your agency and a statement about women and inclusion in your agency. And we have some folks that we've talked to that we'll talk about that too. Some case studies I mentioned and incorporating the design. So George, take this one. How did you get this started? And we'll let folks finish answering this poll. Go ahead.
Well, my father actually started the business way back in the day. He was a clothing salesman.
Wow.
And he wanted to open up a store, and we opened up a store and a retail store, and we started to sell our wares to businesses. At the time, we weren't in any of the production side of the business. We were just selling the apparel to companies and all different types of promotional products, not just apparel. And then as our family grew, my brothers got into production and I was into sales. And then we started to grow the business. Now we do all our own production in-house, embroidery and screen printing. Then about a year ago, I decided to start working with the government because we do a lot of work in the first responder industry. And we had a lot of government agencies coming to the trade shows that we go to, like FDIC and in Indianapolis, which is coming up actually next month. A lot of agencies from around the world would come and say, you guys got to get on the schedule because we can't get this stuff. You guys are embroidering it and decorating it right here on site. We're walking away with it. It's taken us 6 months, a year to get the stuff. And it's costing us, this much money. So we decided to get involved in that. And that's
And
how
here you are.
we got here today.
That's how you got here. And that's fantastic. You are a GSA contract holder. You've done business with different agencies. And I love what you just said, because you go to these trade shows and you meet folks that are they're right there at the time. And they say, hey, I'd love to put my logo on this. And you say, let's go.
Yeah, they send me the logo via email right there. I get it on my phone. I send it back to our shop. They have it set up for embroidery. Our machines are right there. We run it for them, and they walk away with it within an hour or two, depending on how busy we are. But generally, the show's a 3-day show. They leave with their stuff before they go home.
That's cool. I never heard of that before. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That is very cool. All right, I'm going to end this poll. And it looks like most folks are learning about DEIA, and then everybody's been here before. That's fantastic. I love the fact that that's been the case. So let's talk about this. What is your role in this as we jump into? Are you in the senior management? Are you responsible for DEIA compliance? Maybe you're in procurement, responsible for buying it, or maybe you're specifying it. And we love this, because that's what, if you have anything, especially if you're specifying tactical gear, have any questions, we got a designer, excuse me, right here. And maybe you're on the front line using it. And while you're doing that, excuse me, my goodness. So one of the challenges that when we were talking about this briefing, right, we were pulling the information, and we realized, if anybody's from EEOC and wants to talk on this, because I know some folks have registered from EEOC, the inclusion and empowerment of women, there's a study, and that there are pay gaps and separation issues, and some of these things actually revolve around the feeling of being included, right? And one of the things, wearing logoed materials, especially, you start talking about, we'll talk a little bit, right, about the National Guard. They're super proud of where they come from, aren't they, George?
Yes, sir.
And that inclusion right down at the unit level, right? And so take a look at this. Women resign at a rate of 2.5 to 4.5 times higher than the national government-wide rate of 2.3%. And this has to do with feeling like you're part of the team, and you feel like you're included, right? That's where the inclusion is coming from. So let's talk about this. Corey, you do this for a living, right? You're designing these things for these parts. Tell us about this.
Yeah, so the first thing when we look at it, we don't look at apparel as just clothing. We look at apparel as a tool. And it's very important to make sure that they function right? When you have a stethoscope or a pistol mag, there's no such thing as a male pistol mag and a female pistol mag. They're both the same. And so we really approach this as a tool so that it works appropriately. Now, getting to the next one, the appearance is very important because it has to fit the body right. It has to move ergonomically with the body. So men's curves and women's curves are different. It's very important that we fit those body types appropriately. So to go on to the fit has to hit the body so that it's not too loose, it's not too tight, it fits the shoulders properly. A short sleeve shirt is not coming down into the arm, the crease of the arm. It's very important for comfort. This also goes back to durability, because if you have loose clothing, it's going to catch, it's going to snag. But in addition to that, it's a safety issue too. You don't want it to get caught moving through an environment, and you don't want the end user in the uniform to be constantly fixing or adjusting this so that things aren't popping open, it's not revealing. You want your operator to feel very comfortable in this uniform so that they can do their job and keep their mind focused on the task at hand.
And I think you mentioned something that's really important, and that is that safety goes along with that. The snagging, the not fitting right can put somebody at risk. Where
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we kind of see that, right? I love one of the terms that we got coming up too. I'm gonna give you the cliffhanger for that one because I think it's awesome. It's coming up in just a minute. But so, and we mentioned this before, that any of the logoed materials is a representation of the agency and the inclusion of the agency of women in that agency. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. It's very important we have an internal saying here, neat, clean, and professional. We want to make sure that everybody in the department is neat, clean, and professional. You want to have, especially right now with everybody having a cell phone and a camera, you always have to look your best. You always have to be on top of things to make sure that the representation of the uniform is fitting for the department.
Awesome. Oh, by the way, I'm popping into the chat. This will take you right to all the handouts that you'll have. If you want to download any of these, we have all the supporting docs for this. So the mission, we mentioned this as well, George. When you're talking about some of the mission and unit inclusion, it is it's like a band of brothers and sisters, right? That's the way it is.
Correct. Yeah. A lot of the departments we work with, they really sign on to that brotherly work ethic and relationship with their peers. They all want to look the same. They want everything to match. They want to make sure that they're going out in the public with their logo. Okay, we're going to do our logo here. We're going to do our company patch here. We'll do our designation and names on the right chest. We make sure that all that stuff is in line and everybody's looking exactly the same. Like when we go to these trade shows, we'll have 6 or 7 guys walk up because a lot of these guys are volunteers and they're buying some of this stuff on their own dime. And they're like, we want to buy 6 shirts or 10 shirts or whatever it is, and we want all of our guys to look exactly the same. The unit cohesion and the connection that these guys have, guys and girls have with each other when they're working together, is really a big thing.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good word, cohesion.
And it's what they look like in front of the public too. So every time they go out, if one guy's over here and somebody sees him and they see another guy over there, they look the same. Everybody's looking the same no matter what.
Yeah. And I like what you say here because it does impact your ability to recruit and retain. And we talked about the issue with retention of women being more difficult or losing more women in the federal workspace than men. And some of this just is really simple. They just don't feel like they belong, or they don't feel like they're part of the really in, right?
Yeah. It's hard for them because a lot of times you can't get the stuff, or they feel like they can't get the stuff that all the guys can get. The guys can get this shirt, but the women's, they don't come in that shirt. They only go up to this size, or they don't have this available. So they don't have the same kind of choices. So I guess they don't feel that there is equal.
And George, let me just add on to that. And when you do put a female into a male, they end up spending more money on the uniform, getting it tailored, cutting it in so that it fits appropriately. It's, they're putting more financial burden on themselves to have that uniform tailored.
Love it. I hadn't even thought about that. Is that a thing that in order to make it fit, that the women have to spend even more?
That is absolutely true.
Yep.
That is wow. And so involvement, satisfaction, the sense of belonging, that's what we've been talking about the whole time. We all want to belong, and cohesiveness, real important. Love it. This is the term that I was setting up for you, Corey. You ready for this? Typical manufacturers. This is what Corey said the other day. I was like, this is awesome. Shrink it and pink it. That is crazy. Or you force them into male clothing. And really shrinking it is just shrinking it and pinking it in male clothing is what it sounds like. That is so wrong.
What really happens is if you put a female into an extra small male polo, the shoulders aren't positioned properly, and they're gonna fall off the top of the shoulder. And then the short sleeve shirt, it's not gonna be a short sleeve shirt. It's actually gonna go past the crease of their elbow, and so it doesn't fit appropriately. It's very big up on top, and so by offering a properly fit uniform that fits that body appropriately, it's better for everybody.
And so here's the thing. Now I'm putting me as a male in this world. We just don't think about this because we look at it and we're not looking at it from the standpoint of saying, all right, I have this selection and like maybe what's the ratio usually between what's available for men and for women from normal typical manufacturing? What does that look like?
George, what do you think?
It's so when I do searches outside and somebody's looking for specific items, whether it be for businesses or executive type things, you're talking about maybe 3 options for every 10 for ladies. So if a company wants to outfit men and women, I got to go through 10 to 15 to give them 2 or 3 choices that have both men's and ladies sizes across different styles as well. So some people want to do a polo and a button down. And in order to find a polo and a button down in men's and ladies that comes in all the same colors that they want, I could search 20 different items before I can find something that matches across all the colors too, right? So they want to do a blue shirt, men's and ladies in a polo style. They want to do a gray shirt in a button down, men's and ladies. To match that and get everybody the same, it takes a long time. There's not a lot of people like First Tactical that has a lot of their SKUs that have come across men's and women's. You can get in both and in all colors.
So would you say like you maybe get 10 men's types of things or to like 3 or 4 women's?
I'd say it's 70% geared towards men.
Wow.
Where only 30% of the choices will have the available women's sizes.
Wow. That's crazy. So this is the question. So if we're a male and Sean says we have a lot of uniforms, sometimes women need altering, it's because they're just smaller men's sizes. And that would be true. That would be true. So how would you feel as a man if you're forced into something that doesn't fit properly? And this is the most famous, like, right, Miss Doubtfire kind of thing. But here, let's be serious about this. You're forced to wear it. You would not, and it doesn't look right, right? You mentioned it, right, Corey?
Yes.
It doesn't fit right. It just doesn't work right. And so if it doesn't have the features, so sometimes we see like EMS folks, especially, right? And you mentioned kind of where you're putting like the gear and they have special pockets and stuff, right, George?
Yep. They have radio clips that have to be put in the right spot. Pen loops, they always have to have something to be writing with. The radio clips, all the other gear that they use for work that goes into the pants, pockets in the right spot.
Crazy. Right. And especially when you start taking a look at the EMS, we had that picture that flashed up. Women are down doing compressions, working on a patient, and if it's not fitting properly, women are really concerned that their shirt is gaping open in the front because it's not fitting properly up in the upper part of the body. And so they're now concerned about that and not really focused 100% on their job. So if you have a properly fitting op, it really keeps their mind on 100% of what they need to be doing.
Yeah. And David's saying women and men have different skills and both have their value, right? That's the whole idea. You just mentioned, hey, how do you feel if something is not covering you right? And it's crazy. If you flip it upside down, it definitely doesn't work. And that's one of the things that you would not feel like you were dressed in apparel that was looking neat and professional, and you would have people judging you for it. That's the way we are. That's the way human beings are, right? So case study number 1, George, you did this for the Consumer Product Safety Commission, right?
Yep.
And so tell us about what you provided and the options that were available.
So we initially started working with them, and they were looking for just some T-shirts for their inspectors to go out that had a clear designation that they were inspectors on the back of the T-shirts. Initially, it was just a summertime thing, one color design on the front, one color design on the back that said, inspector on the back. And then when we started looking for some winter product, some jackets, they felt like in the past, they were all just wearing their own personal gear, right? They weren't logoed, they didn't have any of their stuff. And they felt like when they were walking into situations that they weren't being recognized as who they were. People weren't giving them the respect that they needed, the clearance and the, all the other things that they were looking for when they were doing some of these inspections. And they made me come up with some jackets and some things that we would be able to outfit for lighter cold weather and then heavier cold weather. So we did a lighter weight jacket for both men's and women's, and we did a heavier weight jacket for both men's and women with their Consumer Product Safety Commission logo on the left chest embroidered. And then we did some heat seal vinyl reflective type stuff for the back that said inspector. So when they were in a situation or in a building or in wherever they were, people knew who they were from afar to see, they could see who they were and what they were doing.
And how did you get any feedback from the folks?
Everything that they needed for men's and women's in sizes, I think, from extra small to triple X.
That's awesome. Any feedback from anybody there about how that made them be more cohesive, like you said before?
Yeah, well, for them, it was a big thing because they were in the past. They felt like when they would go into a situation that they just weren't getting any kind of recognition from, the people who they were there to see. They wanted a certain level of respect and a certain level of recognition when they would go in. But they're all wearing, any kind of jacket that they have at home. And it wasn't until they took off their jacket that they had a logoed piece on. Mm-hmm. But it was the whole team signed on once we gave them the virtual proofs and showed them what everything was going to look like. Everybody was very excited about getting it.
That's
and
awesome.
Wearing them to work.
And you've also done stuff with the National Guard, and I'll get to the question in just a second. Let's talk about that. So Montana Army National Guard.
Yep. Last year we were doing some preliminary work with doing some samples and stuff for the Montana Army National Guard for their recruiting and retention. We did the Army National Guard logo here on the left chest, which is the one you see up here. And then they wanted a little bit of there's another banner style logo, which I forgot to send you. I apologize. It's a little bit more rectangular and it says Army National Guard on the back. We put that on the back neck. So it really gave them a good look and feel.
Nice.
Use these things for recruiting and also retention of their existing Guard members. They did a bunch of other products as well. They did some water bottles. We did T-shirts for them. And it's a big campaign for all the Guards, actually. We work with the Florida Army National Guard. We're actually doing a bid with the Ohio National Guard right now with the same types of products that these guys, and they're using brand names, which is really, I think, very important to them, that they're showing these people, hey, listen, we hold our brand in high regard, and we're going to use high-end brands to show you, they're not just giving away, an inexpensive, cheapy kind of thing. These guys are looking for stuff that's going to represent the Guard.
And Audra's saying, asking, are your products BAA, TAA compliant? That's a great question.
Yes. Well, I mean, there are obviously ones that are not. All the ones that we're working with these guys are all TAA compliant. Yes. Wherever they request it. Some of the agencies don't. Depends on the type of project, but most of all the GSA contract stuff is all TAA compliant. Yes.
Yep. It would have to be. It's part of that. All right. So the third case study that you have is the Army National Guard in Wyoming. And this is EMS stuff too, right? So this kind of fits into exactly what you were talking about, where somebody's there, Corey, you mentioned it, has to fit right, as well as having the mic holder, or I don't know how that all works with everybody, but the whole idea of making sure that it fits right, because if it doesn't fit right, it doesn't work right.
And in addition to that, if you take a look at the EMS industry in general, it's a very high percentage of female to male. In fact, I'm going to say it's even close to 50-50. It's probably 45, 55, but in time, you're going to see that going up. There's this focus on hiring more females. So this is not going to go away anytime soon. This is going to this need is going to keep growing.
Yeah.
Dave, I just want to, so Wyoming County, this one's actually not a guard. Wyoming County, I must have confused you as far as the, so Wyoming County in New York is an EMS squad. They're not part of the National Guard, but they opened up their own EMS division. Wyoming County was using outsourcing EMS, and they decided to bring in their own EMS people. And we outfitted, and Corey and First Tactical put together all the women's and men's clothing for their whole new EMS division. So all these guys have First Tactical gear, boots, jackets, polo shirts, button downs, everything that they're in. We design the logos. We put their names and their designations on the right chest. They have another patch on certain garments on the left sleeve, which has their EMS or paramedic designations as well.
Awesome. Awesome. Sean said, can I get some samples of brand styles? You have equal options? Yes. I think I can answer that for them. I think I can answer that. Well, I appreciate that. And so I love, and I know this is just, a lot of this is just making people aware, because I wasn't thinking about it. I was not thinking about it until you guys started talking about this and the importance to improve the women's worker experience, right? The proper fitting, function, and we've all seen it, right? We've all seen folks that just did not look professional in uniforms representing, right? So, and you push back on the pink it and shrink it. That's what I say. What do you think, Corey?
Absolutely. It was very, we saw 10 years ago when we first really started out down this road, we heard this coming, and we really wanted to approach it from an early point to have this. And so now when we have options, and we have options in stock, it's here and it's available, so that if you need it now, that's the last thing we want. Is you need to get up in the morning, you need to get dressed, no matter if you're a male or a female, you need to have a professional appearance and be able to do your job. And we have all of that in stock, and we have it that it's nice fitting, well fitting, and we have some. All of our fit experts on staff have done a tremendous job, bringing both the men's and the women's fit to a tool that we have designed, that I've designed.
Yeah, and Dave, one of the other things that's really nice with First Tactical is their durability. Having been in the industry, we do a lot with the fire service as well. These guys beat this stuff up, and the way that First Tactical and Corey have designed these things, they hold up much better than most of the things that we have seen over the years that we've been selling. The color retention in the garments is huge. Just the overall durability and the type of fabric, the density of the fabric, and how it holds up as these guys wear it. We've been selling them now for probably 5 or 6 years at these different shows and to departments directly. And when people come walking back through the same show that they've purchased stuff at before, and we look at the garment that they've had for 4 or 5 years, they look spectacular.
That's awesome.
One of the other things outside of the fit and the function of these things is the durability. These guys don't have to. We had people were buying this stuff every year. They come back. I got to get my annual job shirt or my annual polo, and now it's maybe every 3 years they have to buy a new one, just because of the way these things are holding up.
And
it's bad for us because we actually make such good clothing that they don't need to buy as often. So George, I apologize for that. But it's a mission statement. We need to provide great quality gear for both men and women. What can I say?
You need to build in some obsolescence. Apparently, that's what's happened. So yeah, best practices: verify that the manufacturer supplier can provide and source a full selection of women's apparel, not just 30%, like George was talking about. That includes long sleeve, short sleeve, right? Because this was really interesting because I'd never thought about this either. You have the jacket on because it was a short sleeve shirt, and now they don't even see the logos.
Right.
and then selection of colors. And you do all these, right? There's first responders, EMS, safety gear, tactical gear, all those, right?
All of it, all of it. And we wanted to make sure that if you're looking at other manufacturers, take a look at their women's selection and their men's selection, and they should be equal, right? You don't want to have 18 colors of men's pants and 5 colors of women's pants. You want to make sure that they're offered all the way across, and that they're offering both long sleeve and short sleeve, because you're going to have both a male and or a female in a range instructor, and they need to have a red polo. We offer that both long sleeve and short sleeve in red. You're not going to see that from other manufacturers. So we're very conscious about that. 80% of our line have both men's and women's in there, which is unheard of in this industry. So we offer a very full selection.
And there's some juice behind this, right? Because the whole idea is your agency, you want to make sure your agency is represented, right? But the comfort and coverage and functionality, all those things, you want that to be equal. And you're getting this come down. It's a great time for this. Engage your HR folks and the DEIA, CX, customer experience. That's what CX means if you're not from those teams, but you do have one in your agency, and schedule a meeting with Madhouse, or you can pick somebody else too, but address your agency's approach to include women apparel and the gear, right? That's the first thing. And then review your processes to make sure that you're including the neat, clean professional. It can be, you want your whole team to be neat, clean, and professional. And then participate in a wear test. What is a wear test, by the way?
But
George, you want to take this? You want me to take it?
No, go ahead on the wear test. You be better with that.
Okay, so we really want to make sure that you love our gear. We don't want you. I'm going to tell you all day long how great our gear is, but we want you to be able to tell us exactly how you feel in it. And honestly, we have thick skins here. If you don't like it, I want to hear that too. And I'm going to say 80% of the time we win. A couple of times we don't, but I'm okay with those odds. We really try to make sure that we make great gear that fits well, and we want you to tell us about it. So what we're offering is a wear test. So if you have a 50-man agency, let us know, and we'd like to set both a male and a female, a shirt and a pair of pants for both in there, so that they can tell you exactly how they feel in the gear. And
we'll decorate it for you so that they match everybody else.
And that's really Madhouse's experience. He can do it during a trade show. He can certainly turn something around for you. And you also do, I've seen jackets, I think, that you've done. They're not cheap jackets, like the ceremonial type jackets and products.
Yeah, there are some expensive jackets, especially some of the EMS, the bloodborne pathogen type jackets, waterproof parkas. Those can get very expensive, but they're made that way for a reason. I mean, they have a lot of function and a lot of special features.
Love it. And just key takeaways before we get you guys out of here. There is an apparel and functional gear gap, and you can do something about it. So we work together, and you're going after, and you're requiring the providers to have a full line. You're providing women with the same function, equal gear as their counterparts. Guess what? That's good. That's good for your agency. It's good for the women, and it's good for your entire group. And training your purchasing team, because a lot of times some folks are like, I don't care where it comes from. Right, George? You've heard that.
Yeah, sometimes.
So, and evaluate your vendors. And that's why GSA does their job first with folks like Madhouse, because they can be a great resource. And I guarantee you this, they're not going to charge you a dime to talk to you about it. And make sure you got it. So if you'd like to continue the conversation, that's where we are right now. We'll get you guys out of here in just a minute. We'll have any last minute questions. So if you want to continue the conversation, maybe you want some samples, maybe you want to participate in a wear test, because that's what we can do. And also at the beginning, I said, you are not obligated to buy from Madhouse, but if you want to, you can, because you have two different schedules, two GSA schedules, a little bit different products. And also, if you have to run it through, or it has to be done through an 8A or any of the other organizations outside of small business, hey, you do work with other people too, right, George? You help them.
Yep.
So we will get you the video recordings, session docs, one-on-one meetings, some sample logoed products, and we'll make sure we get there, get you what you need.
So one final thought from First Tactical side, we dress everybody in the department, even pregnant women. So we have a new maternity pant. That's also an important aspect to clothing everybody. So just make sure you keep that in the back of your mind. If you have a big department that really needs to clothe everybody, that comes up from time to time. Remember First Tactical.
I love it. So, and you, and because you got, George, you actually sell First Tactical gear. That's the relationship here, right?
Yep. We also, First Tactical, we're in the middle of adding them to the schedule. So you will be able to go on soon as the modification is done, and see the products on our schedule.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. It's in the process. The mod has been, we're just waiting for our contracting officer to approve everything and get it all uploaded.
Yep. So any last minute questions from anybody before we jump out of here? We appreciate you guys joining us. We want to get you out at the 40-minute mark if we can. Great job, guys. I know this is the first time we've ever done this, and just bringing awareness, right? That's the idea. Bringing awareness and making sure that folks know that you guys exist, as well as how they can just incorporate this in their agency, right? They just should.
Yeah, and we'd love to do a wear test for whoever needs. If somebody wants some stuff, contact me. We can probably turn it around depending on what it is they need with their logo on it in a couple weeks.
That's fantastic. And when is the show that you were talking about? Where are you going to be?
The FDIC show, which is where we do a lot of stuff for the DOD and people like that. A lot of fire and EMS people is at FDIC. It's the Fire Department Instructors Conference. It's a 120-year-old event where they do firefighter and EMS training. People come in it's actually a worldwide event. We have people from all over the world. It's crazy. It's crazy, the people that come up and are trying to buy embroidered stuff from Japan, from Australia, from Netherlands. We put some crazy logos. Azerbaijani flag. I never even saw one before. Somebody wanted it on one of their shirts, so we downloaded it offline and put it on a shirt for them.
Well, you never know. That's wild. And how many folks come to that?
It's 35,000, I think.
35,000?
Yeah, that's including it's attendees and vendors. Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive. Well, we'll make sure that we get your booth so that we can send people to you, because I'm sure there's govies coming.
Oh yeah, again, like I said in the beginning, that's kind of how we got started in all this stuff. A lot of government people, especially when they're associated, all the forces have their own fire and EMS divisions. Those guys are all out there getting trained.
That's awesome. Well, we appreciate you guys joining us, and everybody from the agencies and those who are listening to this recording because you're asked for it for the first time. Make sure you reach out to George or Corey. George will connect you if necessary. And really great stuff, man. I appreciate you guys taking the time and letting us know how you can help solve some problems for us. Awesome.
And after you look through anything First Tactical, please reach out to George or myself. We would love to do even an online video. We can give you a baseline functional course on how our product is different and why it's going to be good for you. So just let us know. We'd love to show you the product.
Love it. Awesome, guys. And the FDIC Marketplace Indianapolis, we'll make sure we get your booth and let them know, because they can see it live.
Yeah,
see it real
in
person.
The booth. FDIC Marketplace is the booth. We actually create a store for the event where we sell event merchandise as well, and built into the store is the embroidery booth. It's pretty cool. If they're out, stop by and say hi.
That is fantastic. We'll let people know. All right, great job. Appreciate you, Corey. Appreciate you, George. Awesome stuff. Thanks everybody for joining us today. Appreciate it.
Thank you all.